On today's podcast, we're going to be covering using safety harnesses, so stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. You can find the show notes to each episode, links to information mentioned on the podcast, the social media platforms we're on, and anything else related to the podcast at warehousesafetytips.com. Now, if you're a seasoned podcast listener, this podcast is going to be different from most you listen to. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money and each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the podcast. They always say that facts tell and stories sell. You get plenty of stats via signs, emails, and meetings, so I figured a couple stories might deliver home the importance of today's podcast. What's the topic? Safety harnesses. As with lots of safety equipment, the times you're wearing it versus the times you need it are extremely out of proportion. But for those times that you do need it, you're always glad that you are utilizing it or wishing you had. In the case of safety harnesses, because heights are usually involved, you really don't want the wishing you had scenario ever to play out. I promised you stories, and here they are. Our first story involves working in a cherry picker. I was cutting branches on the high limbs of a tree. We were doing everything as safe as possible. While cutting a branch, it spun around in the opposite direction that we wanted it to and clipped the basket I was in. When it happened, it caused the entire cherry picker to bounce and then violently rock back and forth. Luckily, part of being safe as possible included wearing my harness. But even though I was securely fastened to the basket, I still received quite a shaking, mentally and physically. Not being secure in this situation could have spelled death or a very serious injury. Before moving on, here's a word from one of our sponsors. If you've ever been to or worked in a warehouse, you know just how important safety is to both management and staff. It's almost impossible to go 10 steps without seeing safety tape, angles, signs, and/or safety products. It's these items that show us how to be safe and avoid danger in the workplace. And if you're looking for the best products to make this happen, look no further than Mighty Line. Mighty Line floor signs and floor markings offer the best industrial products out there. We're proud to have Mighty Line as the official floor sign and floor marking company for the Warehouse Safety Tips podcast and site. Go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. Now back to the podcast. Our second story is one that has sparked a lot of discussions whenever I've told it. A friend of mine was the manager for a large hardware chain. Regardless of the height, whenever off the ground or stocking material, or in this case checking inventory, all employees had to be wearing a safety harness. My friend had been told once before to wear a safety harness while using a rolling set of stairs, and on the second time that he was caught not wearing it, he was actually fired. Now, when describing this story, it always sounded to me like bad blood between two managers. I have no idea what other circumstances may or may have not been in his background, but one fact remains true in this story regardless of your thoughts. He admits to being written up twice for not wearing the safety harness. When it comes to wearing safety equipment, it can get hot, obstruct vision, be uncomfortable, make it difficult to move freely, make it difficult to pick up or maneuver small items, be a nuisance and or time-consuming to put on, and many other situations. Fair or unfair, comfortable or uncomfortable, when management is around or not around, safety procedures and equipment and the rules surrounding when and how to properly wear them are in place to keep you, your staff, and your facility safe. Keep that in mind when questioning the importance, and have a safe day. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. If you visit warehousesafetytips.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode and access to all of our blog posts, previous podcasts, advertiser information, and much more. Thank you for listening to Warehouse Safety Tips, and have a safe day.